Hey everybody, how are we doing? How is everybody doing today? Let me end the video here. Everyone having a great day, seeing people in chat. I've got a Coca-Cola here. This is my second cup of coffee today. I mean, it's Coca-Cola, but we are about to start, I think, assignment 2. I listen to the music there as we get started. It's just like, anyone else listen to that music? It just calms you. You just like, you get ready to code. Just like, we got this. We're going to do it. So, how is everybody doing? Seeing everyone in the chat right there. Good to see you. And I think we're live, right? I think we're live. It cracks me up when sometimes we crash every once in a while and it's like, oh, we're not live. No one's watching us. Because one time I literally taught class for like, I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes. And then people in the chat were saying like, where's Brian? What's going on? And then I looked and I wasn't streaming. I had never hit the stream button. So a lot of times I have like my routine now where I like get the stream going and I even watch it in the background, listen to the music. Ryan, good to see you here. That means I am streaming. Ryan is confirming to us that we are streaming live. And with Ryan giving us confirmation that we are streaming live, I'm going to close down jump here. Close away jump. It is time for some Throwback Thursdays. Let's go over to the main screen here and let's do it. What's up, Crash? Take us over to the main screen, Crash. Let's do this. No Crash this day. Just Crash Bandicoot. Okay, let's do this. Red can of Coke. Look at that right there. Okay, people are wondering about question 2 on this assignment. So we got the 320 assignment up right now. We're going to look at some question number 2. How does that sound to everybody? Question number 2, assignment 320. So with this right here, I need help from the students. I desperately need help to work on this assignment because I don't know how to do it. I am stuck and I need your help to figure out how to work this assignment. Now, whenever we code a for loop, we say this endlessly. What are the 3 things that go into a for loop? What are the 3 things that go into the for loop? You have to be like, boom, boom, boom. You have to know all 3, and then we have to make the for loop work. So we're going to remember the 3 things that go into the for loop to start out. We have the variable, the vector, and the skeleton. Perfect. Ryan, 100 points right there. Ryan, amazing job. You know what this is right here? This is the skeleton. We're just going to flat out say that. Let's take some notes real quick. The skeleton. Oh, we don't have to do hashtag here. So skeleton. Let's put a coding block. Go coding block. There we go. So let's go skeleton. The code that repeats has variable inside it. So it's the code that repeat. This code never changes. So this code, this skeleton never changes. This is the same thing that's going to run every time. It also has the variable inside of it. We can see the variable t right here. And the variable, the placeholder for what changes in the skeleton. Each time the for loop runs, it advances 1 element in the vector. This is like, I'm trying to do like some super notes today, like going into maybe a little more detail. Like we could just say that the variable is the placeholder. I say that a lot of times, just the placeholder in the skeleton. Well, so we start off by, what's the skeleton? It's the code inside the for loop that runs. It has the variable inside it. Okay, what's the variable? It's a placeholder. We can see the variable t right here. And the variable will take on all elements of the vector, which is the next thing we need to know what it is. And the vector is what goes through. The vector is all the elements the variable goes through. Let's write that right here. Vector with a hashtag so we can make it a comment. Vector, all the elements the variable will go through. We can do some you can do some like multiple choice questions with this. The length of the vector tells us how many times the for loop runs. That's kind of a little, theory question right there, that the length of, like here's a question right here. Imagine this. I've basically given away the answer, but 100 points, who knows first? If you were to run length on one of these, it would tell you how many times the for loop runs. So I just was saying it 10 seconds ago as I take some drink of Coca-Cola right here. I gotta watch out. My hair's getting so long. It's gonna like go in my drink. I'm like drinking my drink and hair in my face. It's just, hair is getting crazy long. So the length of what tells you how long the for loop will, how many times the for loop will run. And it's the length of the vector. So the length of the vector is how many times the for loop will run. Every time the for loop runs, it goes to the next element of the vector. So we can understand what's going on right here with this code. So our goal with this assignment right here, I'm going to go one smaller. Our goal with this code right here is to identify everything right here. Really are? Why do you do that? Does it do it on all the other ones? That's such a bummer. I have no idea why that keeps happening. My R does not like me. Well, we can fix it. Let's bring it over to this untitled document right here. And with this untitled document, let's take a look. This is the skeleton. And so I just need one more thing. I only need one more thing from this document that looks right. I think it's my zooming in and zooming out. For some reason, at least my version of R doesn't like that. And I really haven't had this issue ever till it's done like 3 times to me. Okay, well, too bad R, we're zooming back in. After you finish going through this question, I'm having trouble knitting the word. Send me your code, Lauren, right there. Send me your document, and I'll try to send you it back as soon as possible. I was replying to emails between everything. When you're done this one, can you help with number 3? You bet. So Lauren, send me yours, and I will I'll see what's going on with the knit, and we'll fix it up. And then Emily, you bet we'll do that one next. You got it. So it's really good because 474 has done one assignment additional to what 320's done, and now they're working on a for loop assignment too. So that'll really help when we do the 474 for loop assignment too here. And they've got while loops. So 474 is doing additional work, for loops and while loops. And I can't break my second set of headphones. That'd not be good. So we have right here, and see, I like it like that. So with this right here, we have the skeleton. This is not the vector. What we want to do with this right here, oh yeah, because T. What we want to do right here is we want to start off by saving into T 4, and we want to write to the 4th element of this vector n right here. So we're writing to the 4th element of the vector n, the rounded equation of 80% of position 3, because this was 4, times what was in position 3, so that's 80% of position 3. And then we do the square root of position 2 plus the log 10 of position 1. So log 10, 1 plus, there we go. And so we're doing this mathematical equation, and you can kind of view it right here. Since we can just evaluate all these numbers individually, we can see what 80% of position 3 is. We can see what the square root of position 2 is. And if you're wondering why is this position 2 right now, it's because this is currently 4, and if you solve the inside of that, it's the square root of position 2. And then right here, we have the log 10 of 1 plus position 1, and you can evaluate that and see what that solves to if you put the extra parentheses on it. And there we go right there. I missed 1 parentheses. So right inside of here, this is position 1, so this will be 7, and so then this is 8, and all we're finding right now is the log 10 of 8. So this right here is the log 10 of 8, which is very close to 1, because log 10 of 10 would be 1. So you can just see all the mathematics going on right here. And what does this for loop do? It goes 4, 5, 6. And this is a big hint for earlier questions. Take a look at what this for loop does if we kind of unwind it. If you unwind this for loop right here, here's what the for loop is going to do just visually. The for loop visually is doing this right here. It's going and advancing t every time it runs, and t will end at 20. We're going to go till the end of 20. So in the chat right now, who knows for 100 points? Who knows? Let's do an easy question. Who can tell me a line of code which has a skeleton? The skeleton is the code that always repeats. It never, ever changes. The skeleton, look, I purposely did this. The skeleton is the code that repeats. It never, ever, 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 ever changes. Skeleton never changes. Never changes. Skeleton inside of here, inside the for loop. Where's the skeleton at? Who knows where the skeleton's at? We need like a exactly any of these lines right here. And if you look, you can highlight it, and you see I'm using the same lines of code. That's the skeleton. Ryan, 100 points. And Ryan, do you know what the variable is? What is the placeholder in the skeleton? What is the placeholder that we're going to use that changes for what changes in the skeleton. Like we're not actually going to change it, but it's a placeholder for what will change as it runs. What is the placeholder? Another 100 points. What is the placeholder? Just T. Just T is the placeholder. So that's you see how we're like changing what T is, and then what vector does T go through as this runs? What vector does T go through? So that'll be the vector that T goes through. T will go through a vector, and identifying these three key parts is important. And so, Ryan, you basically show the answer. I'm not going to put the answer in the video because I kind of want people to be like, wait a minute here. Because once you realize the vector it goes through, oh, no, you're right. No, Ryan, you're putting, like, no, you're fine. Keep typing. No, Ryan, not 100 points. You're doing exactly what I want you to do. You're doing exactly. I'm not going to put the answer like on the screen. I'm not going to like, so people have to like watch and be thinking what you're thinking, because you're doing the right thing right now. You're thinking it through. You're like, okay, this is the skeleton right here. That's the skeleton. This is the variable. And all we need to know now is the vector. What vector does T go through? That's all we need to know is what vector does T go through? So someone will have to like listen. I want people to, I got a really great email today. They said, these videos are really helping me. Thank you so much. I'd like when people, it's nice. You don't have to thank me, but it was really nice. It was really nice. And it made me feel really good. Like they're learning. That's what I want. I just want people to learn. I want you to learn. That's all I want. So what vector does T go through? What vector does T go through? What values does T take on as it runs each time? Like it starts with this and it ends with this. And how can we write that? Feel free to write it in the chat if you want. I might give it away in a moment here, but I want people to be thinking about what vector does T go on? Because the last thing we need for, yep, bingo, Ryan, you're at your 1,000 points for the week if you didn't get it this week. The vector are all the elements the variable will go through. So when you look at this, and I purposely did this, all the elements the variable will go through, the length of the vector tells us how many times it will run. This is just a side note to know that we can evaluate how many times the for loop will run with the length of the vector. So the vector is 4 to 20. Oh my gosh, I am not used to this shorter. I got to stop doing that. So I keep hitting my headphones. So I need to get new headphones. So when you think about everything we've just labeled right here, we basically have the answer, because look at this. Here's where your skeleton goes. How are you doing on this one, Ryan? Does it make sense where everything goes now? Because you just told me the variable. You just told me the vector. And you told me the skeleton. Awesome. Yep. How's everyone else doing on this one? If you identify the variable, the vector, and the skeleton, you're good to go. And being able to write it like this helps with the other answers too. So when you think about the way your code should look, if you're understanding what the for loop does, every time it runs, it'll change what the variable is to the next element of the vector. So this starts with 4, changes T, runs skeleton, moves to 5, saves to T, runs the skeleton, goes to the next element of the vector, which is 6, saves that into the variable, runs the skeleton, and it continues this iterative process. So we might hop over. What's up, Crash? How you doing, Crash? Let's do this. Let's go grab some 474 and bring that over here. We're going to do 474 question 3. Okay, let's go grab 474 question 3 here. I'm going to go and get that. How is everyone doing today? It is Haslam Friday. You know, see, that's a good idea right there. Like, you got to love it when it's Haslam Friday. It's Thursday. We call it Haslam Friday. Great day. Not that we don't do anything on Friday, but no classes on Friday. Good times. We have the Kahoot tomorrow. Is anyone going to be here for the Kahoot tomorrow? Anyone going to be here and play some Kahoot? There's $20 in either Amazon or DoorDash. Take your pick. And we're about ready to do some question number 3. So I think we're good to go. Kahoot will be tomorrow. See, I love it when a lot, yes. Oh, you have the answer. I thought you were saying you're going to show up. See, I love it when a lot of people show up to the Kahoot. The good news is if very few people show up, more probability of winning. And I will say this, so this is a big thing for both 320, 474, and 201. With 201, the Canvas content, I take some of those and put them in the Kahoot. And with 320, 474, I take questions from your guys' exams and put them in the Kahoot. So the Kahoots are meant to be a good review and almost like a practice exam. So the Kahoots are just like weekly practice exams for prizes and for fun. So let's hop back to the screen right here. Crash, we're just gonna, sorry, Crash, bye. So let's do this right here. After the 474 question, you go 1v320. You got it. Let's do that. We'll do that next here. You got it. Thank you for asking, Ryan. And so here we are in 474. Load in the education data frame. See, we're too nice. So make sure you have reg class. If reg class is on your computer, this will run. Also, don't worry. The first time you run it, it will show a bunch of red text. It's just showing you it's loading up dependencies. So you probably will see a bunch of red things on the screen. It's probably just saying like loading dependency, blah, 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 blah. Can I go to detach? I don't think that's detached data frames. I never forget how to unload libraries. Like, I don't know. I never do it. So I'm just like, oh, whatever, I'll just reboot R. So if you don't know the function, then you have to, not worth Googling. So this loads up the education data frame. Notice right now how education's not here. We talk about this like preloaded video games. I'm not loading in an Excel file. I'm not loading in a jump file. I'm not loading in a SAS file. I'm loading a preloaded video game. What do I mean by that? It's like this is already stored on my computer. It's within R right now. It's in the reg class. That's why we have to load reg class, because you notice here it says reg class next to it. There's a bunch of other ones like MT cars is just, I think, it's in data sets. So there's a whole bunch of different packages that bring with them data files. So the reason we can access this now is because we loaded reg class, and we could load data sets like the survey data sets, or I think the body fat data sets are in reg class. Oh, there you go. Bod is in data sets. So we're loading education, always type 3 letters, let it autocomplete, load it, and now it's loaded in the global environment. So now we have access to this data. Never hurts to take just a quick look at the data, see what's going on with it. It looks like it's just student data. How many hours a week did they work? How many AP hours did they take? What was their ACT scores, high school GPA, gender, college GPA, and school, and a bunch of other variables. Lots of variables. Cool, good stuff. So now that we have a little bit of an understanding of what's going on with the data, we need to figure out the average GPA by PET. So think about what we're doing right here. There are 4 levels to PET. And I'm not going to completely do this question. Also, this is very similar. Let me put a note right here. Very similar to question 3 for BAS 320. This is how to subset and to kind of use a for loop to do different subsets. So I'm not going to do the exact same question here, but I'm going to kind of use this data set. Let's put a note right here. Brian is doing a similar but different question. There we go. Put that note in there. Hopefully people read that. We're going to see that in someone's assignment. I'll be like, no, you don't have to write that. So I'm doing a very similar but different question. How do we get a for loop to work? We get a for loop to work by writing one version of it. So we get a for loop to work by writing one version. We write it so it works one time. The for loop works one time, and then we get the for loop to work repeatedly by just changing what it works on. So let's say I want to make a for loop that goes in here, and you know what I could do? I could do a more complex thing. 474, we're going to do something fun here at the end of this. Let's do people's GPAs by their family and their position in their family. So let's do that. Let's do people's GPA or job in high school. Job in high school. And then we'll do one more thing. So we're going to do job in high school. You ready? So you think about this. We have 2 levels to job in high school. We have yes and no. So, and if you wanted to check this, you could go to levels, which will come in some use in a moment here, education, and then job in high school. So this is yes and no. So we have someone had a job in high school, no, someone had a job in high school, yes. Well, I only want to get the people who did not have a job in high school. So I'm going to go here to sub. This is just what I'm storing into. I could have called that anything, and I'm going to call the function subset. What I'm going to do here, sorry guys, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a subset of education, and then I need a condition. Now, you don't have to hit enter, but I like to hit enter to kind of sub-indent. That way I can be like, okay, I'm taking a subset of education, and then I'm going to use the condition that job in high school, I can make sure I get the syntax right there, and job in high school is equal to no. So the job in high school is equal to no. And an important thing to do, well, one, make sure you have equals. When you make your subset, look at it. Look at it to make sure that it's the right amount. I mean, you could be like, okay, at least it's gone down. And if I make the subset of the other one, it should be 302. How did I know that? Because people either have a job in high school or they don't have a job in high school, and it appears there's no missing data here. So I took a subset of the no, I took a subset of the yes, and this is what we have going on right here. So there we go, we're good on that. Now I want to find out the GPA of these people. Well, I need some help. Where's my data at for the high school no people? Where's my data at for the high school no people? Who knows who's watching right now for 100 points? Who knows where's my GPA right now for the high school no people? Where's that data at? I want just the high school no people. Where's that data at for just the high school no people? And then I'll show something that's sad. Not sad, but there's a quick way of doing everything. Kind of the fun things you can do in R. And then we'll do the 320 question after this. Where's my data at for just high school no? You're kind of right, Emily. Emily, 100 points. That has both the yeses and the nos. Right now, everyone inside of here, it has the yeses and the nos. This has high school yes, high school no. So it has all, this has all the yeses and all the nos. But I just want the nos right now. I just want only the no people. I want the people who did not have a job. So I want only the no people. All the no people are located where? Every single no person is located in the subset. If we go to job in high school right now, exactly, Emily, another 100 points. Emily, you're right on, because my subset only has the no people. Does that make sense? So what if I go here and I get the high school GPAs? So these are only the high school GPAs of the what right now? These are only the high school GPAs of the what? These are only the high school GPAs of the people who do not have jobs in high school. So now I only have the high school GPAs of the no high school GPA of that right there. So we've got that working. And what do we want? This is a slightly different question, but very similar. I want the mean of this. So here we go with the mean of this, and there's the mean of it. But then I need a place to store it. Let's go here to AVG high school GPA dot job. We'll go by job. So right here. That's good right there. Yeah. Constant syntax. Cool. So we'll store it here. And this is the important thing that a lot of people make a mistake on. The mistake people are going to make right here is that they'll overwrite it. I used to do this all the time, is that if you run this, it'll just keep overwriting what's here. We have to do a position. And the positions I'm going to pick is position no. And you might say, wait, there's no number position no, but when I store into this, it names a position no. And then guess what? Right here, I can name yes. And there we go. Let's take a look at the vector. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just running the vector. I'm doing the equivalent of this, and we've created it. And wow, there's really not a difference. That's shocking that the people with a job were barely a little more than 1/100th of a point lower. I expected more of a difference. I didn't know how this would turn out. That's really not much of a difference. And we could do a lot of different tests with this, but 607 data points, if there's enough variation, that's not statistically significant. And I'd have to make the two data sets. It's a lot easier. I've got Red Class open. I'll run the statistical test on it. So we want to do high school GPA by job in high school. My eyes just blurred. So we want to explain high school GPA by job in high school. And data equals education. Plot too big, that's all right. This is not required. I'm just actually doing the statistical test on it. This is something we'll do in 320. Really? Plot too big? I am shocked by that. Now I've lost my spot. There we go. P-values are going to be like 0.8 or something. I say 0.85 for p-value. Yeah, they're very high. P-values of 0.78 for the 0.78 for the medians, and the average are 0.62. And when you look at the box plots of these, the differences are there's the difference in the means. And did I get the right one? High school GPAs were, it's so hard to see. It's so close. And it looks like for 320 is going to be important. These are mostly normal. I would go with the means here. This is actually a throwback to 201. When the data is normal, we use the mean. And when data is skewed, we use the medians. So since the data is mostly normal according to the QQ plot, not QQ straight enough, no outliers, but normal quantile plot right here. So this is a 320 look into the future right here, just a really quick way to analyze the data. And you can also see that this also gives you the results for the means right here. Here's the means of the yes, and here's the means of the no, and the medians are identical. And we'll talk about permutation tests, but this is kind of a peek into the future. And you notice this code's a lot easier. It's just y comma y tilde x comma data equals data frame. So more to come on that right there. Let's go back to this question though, which is a quick peek into the future and some quick code that we can write. So now let's go right here and let's take a look. So what have I created? What have I created on these lines right here? What have I created right here? What in the world is this? What could that be used for if I'm just changing the no and the yes? And I'll drop some hints as we do this right here. Let's say right here, I were to go to something like choice, and we'll go with no. And then we go here, and we run this. And then we put this here. And let's check to see if it, oh, that was a graphical error. That works. And then we go here. What have I created? What is this right here? And what is this? I'm going to put all three things on the screen. Who can identify any parts of these codes right here? Because right now we have everything we need. We have created everything we need, which are the three things we need to create a for loop. Who sees anything on the screen here can identify anything we need here, because we have everything we need to make this for loop run. So what line has what right now? Who knows? If someone tells me one, I'll tell you the other two. Let's see what people think. See if you can identify the variable, which is what changes throughout the skeleton. See if you can identify the vector, which is the things. Close, Emily, close. Yes and no are the values that will change throughout the loop. Yes and no are the, like, it'll run like no the first time, then it will run yes the second time. And that looks like multiple things, not just one thing. So yes, no, and yes is the what of values the variable will go through. No and yes are the what of values the variable will go through. No and yes are the what of values variables will go through. Another V word, it's the something of values the variables will go through. Ryan, great job. It's the vector. Yep, that's the vector. And then choice is the placeholder in the code. So choice is the variable, and everything right here is the skeleton, because the skeleton's not going to change. So guess what we do? We go right here, we type FOR, we hit enter. We take our skeleton, and we're just going to copy paste the skeleton inside of here, not there. We're going to put the skeleton right here. I'm going to re-indent these lines just because I like my code to look really nice. So there's the re-indent. Oh, I guess it doesn't look like that. Yeah, it makes sense because that's a sub-indent. So we have this, and now we have the vector of values it will take on. There we go. And then this is called choice because that's the variable right there. And we run it, and it runs. And it will reproduce the same output as we had before. Now, I'm going to give 474 a peek into the future here, and I'm going to hopefully make my mind work a little on this. What if you like for loops so much you put a for loop inside your for loop? What if you go here, and you go to a for loop, and you put a for loop inside your for loop? What? So now, now it's going to be pretty interesting. Now is where things get fun. So now we want to use two conditions right here. And so we're going to do, and what did I say? There was another thing that they had. I think it was churchgoer or something. Let's do churchgoer. So let's go here to sub. Sure, we can get it here. Churchgoer. Okay. All I'm doing here is just getting how to spell it. That's all I wanted was how to spell it. And I'm using this one because it's yes and no also. So let's go choice. See, it's going to be confusing. We'll call this choice 2 and choice 1. This is choice 2, and then here this will be choice 1, and then this is levels. This went to next week for 474. This is next week's stuff for 4, or is it? It's at the end of next week. I think we'll be talking about nested for loops. So this now is doing multiple things, and I need to change this. Let's go here to paste. I think this will work. This should work. We'll give it a shot. Choice 1, choice 2. Will it work? One way to find out. Yes, it did. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite my vector before doing it, though. And let's give it a shot. There we go. See, that's... You know what we could do here? Choice 1 is church. So we need to put a thing here and say no church. And then choice 2 is job. Job. There we go. And let's use paste 0. And let's put a dash. Let's put a space. And let's put a dash. Space 0 does not add any spaces. And there we go. No church, no job. No church, yes job. Yes church, no job. And yes church, yes job. So the highest, wow, look at that. The church group is higher. I wonder why that is. I mean, it just is the data. That's all it is. But you see the differences right here. It's about an 8-point difference. But yeah, just these differences we notice right here. Pretty interesting. And so we went really complex here at the end. We nested the for loop inside of a for loop. This is a peek into the future. How are people feeling, especially in 474? Did you get something out of this for problem number 3? How are people doing on problem number 3? We're going to hop back to 320 here in a second. How are we doing on this problem? This went way advanced. I just wanted to show, I always like giving peeks in the future. It helped I didn't think I understand when it said to define a vector that, oh yeah, to define an initial empty vector is this right here. Great question. And yeah, anytime I'm like, you're like, hey, how do you do this? Sometimes I just go a little bit more advanced and show like a nested for loop. So this is a for loop inside of a for loop right here. So the way this works is the for loop goes here and first assigns the first level of education churchgoer to choice 1. And then it goes inside of here and assigns education job. So if you notice, it's going to do churchgoer no first. So that's why you get the no church, no job. And then you get no church, yes job. And after it does this, it goes out of this for loop and goes inside of here. It's kind of like, if you think about like a graphic scanning in, like imagine like a nested for loop. It would go like this, and then it would go to the next thing. This is what a nested for loop looks like. So this is the inner one, and this is the outer. So when you think about a nested for loop, think about like, you know, a typewriter or something like that as it goes across. That's the inner, and then it goes to the outer, and it goes back to the inner, outer, inner, outer, inner, outer, inner, outer, inner, and then it finishes because maybe the outer loop had that many elements to go through. So that's how a nested for loop works. Is it just like once it goes inside the inside, it goes through all the elements, and then it goes back to the outside and advances the outside by 1. You can nest. I've done like 3 or 4 nested for loops. It just depends on what you want to do because there's reasons to do it. You don't just do it for fun. You're like, oh, well, I want to imagine this. So here's a really good 500-point question. With nested for loops, and see, this could be a test question too right here. If you had, you want to do analysis on customers and make personalized mailings for them. So you have your different partners you work with. Like you work with like, let's say Frito-Lay, they're going to be presenting to us soon here in about an hour. You work with Frito-Lay, you work with Coca-Cola, you work with Dannon, you work with all these different companies here, and then you have the customers for those companies. So what would your for loops look like? Well, the inner for loop would be all your customers, and the outer would be the businesses. So you would loop over all the customers, making the personalized mailing lists, and then the outer for loop would advance it to the next company. So you would go, if you think about it visually here, so this would be, so maybe you have, you know, a certain amount of customers for each company, and you would go and you would do all the personalized mailings for these customers. You would advance a company, which is going to the outer loop, and then you do all the customers for this company, and you do all the ones for that one, and you would do like that. So the outer loop just advances the other variable for you, because each time the for loop continues, it moves the variable 1 element in the vector. I think there was a 320 question. We got 320 up here, so let's take a look at the 320. What happened? Let's re-download that 320. 2 seconds. Hey, over here. Let's get the 320. What was it? It was 1B for 320, I think. 1B for 320. So let me get 320 back on the screen. 1B for 320. Get some exciting music in here. Throwback Thursday. Let's do this. Could you help me with the skeleton for number 3 on 320? Yeah. Let's say and so it's very similar, Andrew. We'll take a look at that here in a second. I can send you my code for 1B. I think it's close. Yeah, send it to me via like Discord or email. And I promise you, someone's like, wait, you're not on Discord. I'm like, I'm jumping around. Between classes, I reply to as many emails as I can and all the Discord messages I can. I used to go into a Discord room, but then like I'd be talking to people, I'll be like, and so usually if I go to a Discord room with someone, I try to be like I make sure I'm not like doing emails. So I'll usually hop in a room for 5-10 minutes and talk to someone depending on how much help they need. But message me, be like, hey Brian, can you hop on a call? Can I show you my screen? Things like that, and we will do the work. Let's go here to 1B. So with 1B, it doesn't tell the character length. Let me look at that, Ryan. Wait. Did I miss it? Wait, Ryan, did you send it to me via... Wait, are you him? No. Did you change your name? I'm so confused. Oh, there you are. I see you now. There's so many names. Wait, no, you have it. I said good. I think so. I think I know what your issue is, Ryan. Here, Ryan, let me try this, Ryan. Go to the end of your code and run this. Go to the end of your code, Ryan, and try running that. So go to the very end, because all the code is doing is saving into it, and just run Y and see if it works. So at the very end here, I'll go to 1B, which was one of the things. At the very end of 1B, you'll still do all this. So everything here is the same except for this. This is where the 10 lines go. So after you put the 10 lines of code in here, like this is insert 10 lines of code. After you run the 10 lines of code in here. That's why, no, I was like, I thought I was literally scrolling down through messages and I was like, and then I saw that, and I was like, yeah, that's good. I got it. No, so you did it. That's got it. You were right. Sorry. I was like, oh no, I felt so bad. So no, you got it. Great job. You're done with the question. You're like, done with that question. And you got the answer right. And if you didn't get it right, tell me, because, I write these assignments and the graders grade them. So graders better mark that as right. So sorry, graders, you're excellent. Okay. Oh, what's up? Dude, Jacob. Thank you, Jacob. 100 points. Thank you, Jacob. It's a tough, chapter 5 is tough. And I'm really glad yesterday helped. Yesterday we went, did I say yesterday would be a big day? Some days are easy and some days are tougher. Yesterday was a big day and you did great. Jacob, also, we just posted another visualization video. Had a lot of fun with it. I added some fire effects. And so check out the visualization video and you'll see I had some fun with it. I also I should have said on average, and I kind of put a thing above my head. So check out the latest visualization video. I think it makes the visualization very clear. And if you ever have questions, you know where to show up, and we can work any questions. So let's see right here. Oh, awesome. Check it out. I had the intro graphic thing with the fire and the lightning I had fun making. After Effects, Adobe. You're awesome, Adobe. Okay, so with this question right here, let's jump into it. So this question right here, we should identify first the 3 things that make a for loop. You knew we were going there. What are the 3 things that make a for loop? What are the 3 things that make a for loop? The 3 things that make a for loop. Someone's got to tell me them again, because I always forget them. I'm just going to drink this whole Coca-Cola until... Oh, I didn't even get to take a sip. Andrew, 100 points right there. Andrew's right. The variable, the vector, and the skeleton. Great job right there. So if you look up here, and we've got tons of notes on what the variable and the vector and the skeleton do. Once again, the variable is the placeholder. Does anyone see the variable through here? Does anyone see the variable in this code? Does anyone see the variable in this code? And I'm basically going to say the answer. So you're going to have to listen to this video as I tell you the answers. Yeah, bingo, Andrew. You got it. And then does anyone see the vector? I'll show you. It's a lot to say. It's a lot to type. That's the vector. And then do you see the skeleton? I need like 2 capitalized words. What does the skeleton do? As we run our code, what does the skeleton do? The skeleton, this is the mistake I see people making. They start doing that. I'm like, no. The skeleton just, in capital letters, it just straight up never, ever what's. I mean, you know what you have with this right here? Because someone might say it here in a moment. The skeleton never changes. The skeleton never changes. If the skeleton never changes, how many of your 10 lines of code do you have right here? Who knows? We're basically dropping answers right now. If the skeleton never changes, how many of you have 5 of your 10 lines? The skeleton never changes. You have 5 of your 10 lines right there. Now you just have to figure out the other first 5. You have to figure out when this starts up, what it's going to do here, and when it comes back, what it's going to do here. So we've kind of shown the answer almost right now. If you're getting like, I got it. So when the for loop runs, it assigns, this is what it does, it assigns to the variable the first element of the vector. I can't repeat that enough. Let me put this huge hint. When the for loop first runs, it assigns the first element of the vector to the variable via, I can't make it more. So variable left arrow vector, like first element or vector. I can't make it. So I think Ryan, you have the, does this like, and then how many exclamations can we do? Stop. Even little Brian says stop. Brian Jr. I think we've decided to name this Brian Jr. So, oh wait, that's not the button. Oh no. Never try to do stuff live. Brian Jr. right here. There's Brian Jr. Let's do this. So then it runs the skeleton as is, no changes. Runs the skeleton as is, no changes. And for those who have completed this problem, and I want you to think this over. I don't want to put the answer on the screen, but does this make sense right here? Like what, for those who have written it, it's like, we've already figured out 5 of the lines. We just have to know when the for loop starts, it assigns the first element of the vector, and then we could put, and then, so it loops back to the top and assigns the next element of the vector. I knew I'd be blocking that. Vector to the variable. Variable vector second element. Hopefully this is making sense right here. I'm trying to think what other questions there were. So we definitely got like 15 more minutes. Then I'll jump around Discord and emails. What other questions are there? Does this, oh wait, question 3 people were wondering about. The good news on question 3, so we'll hop down to question 3. The good news on question 3 is we were just doing it a moment ago. And with question 3, it's a very similar question to 474 and 320. Now, because they have a similar question, they're kind of working the same ideas and doing the same concepts, but their question was dealing with, I made it more complex too. They're dealing with education data set, and they're doing average GPA by pet. So if you just watched that question, you saw something very similar, and you saw how to do like a subset. Now I did a nested subset, nested for loop, but so don't worry about that. Okay, how many times do we get the code to run to make the for loop run? To make the for loop run, we only get it to work on what? To get the for loop to run, we only get it to work on what? When we get a for loop to run, how many times do we get it to run? Well, no, think about this though. When we get a for loop to run, how many times should it run before we actually make it into a for loop? We don't write the for loop to start. We never start by writing a for loop. Don't start by writing a for loop. Don't be like, I'm going to write a for loop. I'm going to type FOR. No, don't do that. Start by getting it to run how many times? Great job, Andrew. 100 points. So how many times do we get the for loop to run? Start with the skeleton. Exactly. We start with the skeleton and we get the skeleton to run one time. So we get the skeleton to run only one time. So I'm going to do another similar problem, but not quite. We can use the education data set, and we could do high school honor classes. So, or we do family. Okay, let's do family. So in the education data set, this is just a similar problem. We go here and we go to family, and you see it's got whether or not someone's a youngest child, only child, middle child, all of these categories right here. And we're going to start by doing the average GPA by position in the family. I'm rooting for middle child. I'm a middle child. So let's hope this works. Or hope the middle childs have the highest grades. They probably don't. I didn't. And so let's go right here and let's say save into, because the first thing we want to do is take a subset of only, let's say, the middle child. So let's go here. And what do we want to subset? The first thing right here is what do you want to subset, and then your conditions. So the first thing in subset is I want to subset the education data set. The second thing in subset is going to be what are my conditions? Well, I want that, and this has to be in quotes, I want for the family to be equals equals. You have to have equals equals to middle. Now watch the subset right here. That's the key. It worked. I mean, I assume it worked. I could double check it worked by going here and then going to family and see that it's only middle children. So if it's only middle children, I did it correctly. And, you know, for bigger data set, it'd be hard to check, but we only have middle children. Now, if we wanted, like if there was only child, you'll notice we have 54 observations, and I'm showing right now that I'm just taking a subset. So it's important to know that your function worked. I actually took a subset. So now that I know that I've taken a subset, I can use this right here, and I can go and say sub $. That's not what I want to do. I want to go mean. I was going to show it, and then I changed what I was doing. So what I've done right here is I've taken the vector of only children's high school GPAs. From this vector, I found the mean of this vector. So now that we have this code working, this code would work if we changed it to middle child. This code would change if we change it to oldest child. This code would work if we change it to youngest child. The code works on all of these, which means we've built the skeleton. We've built something that can go through all of these. And then we have to think, what values does this go through? What values does this go through right here? Any ideas for what values that family thing goes through? It goes through the what's of family. Bingo, Andrew. Great job, Andrew. It goes through the levels. Great job following along right there. It goes through the levels. So look right here. We have the levels being displayed, which makes this the what, Andrew. You're right there. This makes this the what that it's going through. This makes this the what. This makes this the what. Because it's the levels. It's the vector. Boom. That's the vector because it's what this goes through right here. It goes through those values. And now all we need to do, let's call this like child. There we go. Let's call it child, or let's call it order. There's an order function. You don't want to do that. You don't want to call things the same thing. So it's just like, what child are you in your family? So it's like, what child are you? So we're just calling it that. And now that I've decided to call it this, it is now the what. Since I've decided to call it this, it's now the what. Child is now the what. The variable, right? Perfect. Excellent work. And watch this. I can just go here to oldest child. There's my brother. And it still works. So we're confirming that our code works along the way. And the problem we run into is I keep just running this. I need to store it somewhere. So we're going to go here and we're going to go to average high school GPA by child order. And we're just going to call this right here. And then we're going to go down to here and we're going to store into position child. There we go. And now we could run this right here and it would store into position oldest child. And we could run this and it would store into position youngest child. And this runs. It looks a lot like what we have on lines 157 through 159 are the what for this for loop. And this is very similar to your question 3. It's very similar to 474's question also. To do another good example to end class. This looks very similar to like we just wrote the what. Ryan, you're right. It's the skeleton. It's time for another stat to 1 speed run. Let me zoom out the screen right here. Can Brian break the 8-second record from earlier today? Stat to 1 speed run time. Let's do this. Let's make this. Can Brian break the 8-second speed run record? It was 8 something. It's our speed run record for making a for loop. What we do is we build all the components of our for loop, and then we see how fast we can actually make it. It's just a fun little thing we do. But let's give this a shot. We have here our skeleton. We have here our variable. And we have here the vector. I didn't copy anything. Don't DQ me. Don't DQ me. Okay, here we go. We're going to make this for loop. We're going to try to go sub 8. Here we go. Oh, I think that's a new record, though. Do we do it? I pause. I can go sub 8. I know I can. Works. Got it. Good. Re-indent those lines. Make it look nicer. So we've done it. Hop back to the main screen. No crash today. That's the and the reason I do that kind of stuff right there is just to show you that the harder part was identifying the parts to the for loop. So once we identify all the parts right here, we'll zoom back in on it. Once we identify all the parts right here, if you look, this was the variable, this was the vector, and then this was the skeleton. So this for loop right here runs now, and we can even confirm it by deleting off all of our code up here. We only really need this right here, which creates the blank vector, and then this right here, which we can show the end result. So when we run the for loop, here's a big thing. A lot of people have emailed me and say, Brian, my for loop does nothing. And I'm like, wait, run this here at the end and you'll get the result. So we also can remove this. If you run this line of code, it'll remove what's in there. And so you can run this to blank it out, and then you run this and you run this and you've got it. So we didn't make any changes. We just kind of cleaned up the code. So the for loop doesn't show any output. It just stores into that vector and creates those positions. And I think that's our new world record. I think it is. But once again, I just do that to show once you identify all the parts, you're just plugging it in. Let's just plug and chug, they say, you know. You just put in the variable right here, you put in the vector, and you put in the skeleton. So all I'm doing is just as quickly as I can, just dragging those things to those areas. Why I copy pasted one of those in beforehand. But yeah, no, this is not too bad. And I tried to go sub 8. So, I mean, literally you have seconds worth of work. Once you know your variable, your vector, your skeleton, once you identify those and you get them to work, then you just have seconds of work. Does that make sense, Andrew? Does it? Send me your, is it still doing that? You might need to send it to me. You might need to send it to me. Might need to send me. I think Ryan's good on his now. Good office hours, good review, and I'm really happy to hear that. I thought for a moment I thought you said I somehow broke my laptop. Ryan, no, send me your code in Discord, Ryan. I'm still on your chat in Discord. Drop your code into Discord. I got like 5-10 more minutes. Drop your code. I'll put here student questions. So that way I remember. This helps when I label the videos. Student questions. I'll remember this section is student questions. Let me see here. Drop the code in Discord and I'll take a look. Run out of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is not Frito-Lay though. Pepsi is. I'm debating for the Frito-Lay presentation. Oh, I should have sent an announcement about that. It's only first 15 minutes. Here's the for loop. I see it now. It doesn't look broken to me. Yeah, it should. It should, Ryan, you're right. Here, I'll show you. You are correct. The reason is you're here's, if you want to check what it's doing, if you run tail of x right here, that only returns the last values. You don't need to print x. X will print all the values, and then tail of x will only print the last 6 because tail by default prints the last 6. You can change what tail does to like the last 3, but the default for tail is all 6. Your code is correct. Don't worry, you got it. Great job, Ryan. Does that make sense right there? You are correctly returning the values right there. So excellent work. I don't see any errors on that. I looked at what you sent me via Discord. I think it's one of the best ways too. If you have a question, a lot of times to send me. No, don't worry, and ask. I mean, that's the best way. Like to just be in here and be like, hey Brian, I'll send this on Discord, and it's really easy for me to like, yeah. And then I can kind of mention this here that tail returns the last however many elements, head returns the first however many elements, and it's 6 by default. Let's see. So unless someone's like, hey Brian, I messaged you on this on Discord, and I found that I can pretty easily do that. And technically, see, I could do these things. See, I'm like iffy about bringing students on stream. Like I wouldn't want anyone to be like, oh, I didn't know I was on stream or something, because that's like, like someone's like, wait, I was on YouTube. Because I could technically do that because I've got the abilities with like the mixer and stuff like that. But it's easy enough to just be on Discord and talk on Discord. I don't know how much value added it would be if I had students talking via the stream. I don't think it'd be much value added. So I'm like, we'll just keep to Discord. You're welcome, Andrew. Thank you, everybody. Really good office hours today. We did a lot of for loops, a lot of practice. I'm guessing 201 are going to have some big questions. 201's probably going to have big questions coming up next week, especially with chapter 5. And I might need to, I think I moved around their assignments. I'm trying to make sure there. So if 201, if you're hearing this, I don't know if any 201ers are watching. And definitely I'm going to try to get more of them to show up. So keep working hard. I think the assignments for these classes get easier, and I think the assignments for 201 get harder, because 201 has kind of had the easy assignments up till now, and now we're hitting chapter 5, which is the normal curve, and then correlation, then regression, then decision trees, and then it's like you get into testing and confidence later on after doing sampling. Like sampling is like your break from all the tough chapters. Is like, just memorize these sampling methods. So that's got it. Let's head out with some Stat 201 UTK. I'll see everybody later, see some people in class, and have a great day.